Well, from wildcatter to outspoken environmentalist, a new memoir gives us a rare look at one man's journey through the Oklahoma oil patch during the wild days of the 60s and the 70s. And as Ed Murray reports, it also includes his vision for a future where oil and environmentalism can coexist.
I was from upstate New York. I studied glacial geology. I did go to Southeast Alaska to a glaciological field camp.
Tom Cochran may just be the most unlikely geologist ever to walk into the Oklahoma oil patch. His first boss back in 1964 certainly thought so.
He said, "Well, we don't have any glaciers here in Oklahoma." He said, "I don't think you're going to last very long in the oil business."
But he survived. Now Cochran has documented his 25 years in the industry in a new book, Tornadoes, Rattlesnakes, and Oil, a wildcatter's memories of hunting for black gold. It helped that he was a quick study.
My first wildcat was my biggest discovery of my career.
Was that good or bad?
It might have been bad. I made no money off it other than I doubled my salary out of it, which was a nice deal.
Too often, many of our books and publications about oil and gas feature the owners.
Dr. Bob Blackburn is the executive director of the Oklahoma Historical Society.
But this book gives us an account of this time period from the grassroots level of someone who is down there investing and looking for oil and gas and working with others, and it's a colorful industry, always has been and always will be.
I think by the 60s, companies were cooperating. They wanted to share the risk in drilling wildcats. So they would go out and buy 100,000 acres of acreage leases in some county, someplace that had very little production, and they would let slip to their friends that they were buying out there, or they would let slip to somebody that, oh, there's a hot play going on out here. So everybody rushed out and bought leases.
Well, not everyone.
I went out there to Amarillo with my partners to sell T-Boone Pickens a 15,000 acre deal, which we thought was a big deal. But he looked at it and he said, "You know, Sonny, you got to think bigger. You got to be a big thinker in this business." And I thought, well, 15,000 acres is a pretty big deal. But it wasn't to T-Bone.
Cochran retired from the industry in the late 1980s and moved to the coast of Northern California, where he devotes his energies today to another passion, the environment. Yes, an environmentalist that still has connections to oil.
I think I'm in about 6 of the horizontal wells, and it really has kicked my income considerably.
He believes the two sides can coexist. He's excited about the frack water recycling plants near the Calumet fields he once drilled, and the growing acceptance of new green technologies, like the more efficient fire heaters being developed by XRG Technologies in Tulsa, that will reduce greenhouse gases from refineries.
We've been overwhelmed by the success and by the positive response from the industry as well. And especially like the big companies, like the huge majors, the Exxon, Valero, Marathon, everybody's been extremely supportive with us, and they've been asking us to do studies for them and now also supply equipment.
Still, this coastal Californian welcomes news this week that the U.S. House has voted to block money to fund the Trump administration's efforts to drill new wells off our east and west coasts. Cochran hopes shale holds the answer to eventually ending offshore exploration and the use of coal.
There is so much oil and gas in shales that if we can figure out how to get it out economically, without screwing up the groundwater table or creating an earthquake, and I think technologically those things can be easily overcome, we're going to be into oil and gas for a mighty long time. I think as an environmentalist, I'd like to see the coal phased out. It can be replaced by natural gas, and certainly it can be replaced by wind energy.
I think natural gas has a very bright future, especially as we start exporting liquefied petroleum gas. That is a new market that we're just now beginning to tap.
Tom told me that when it comes to coexisting, you don't have to look any further than that fellow who called him Sonny back in the day, T. Boone Pickens.
He was putting companies together and doing all kinds of wild things, and eventually ended up with wind turbines and green energy, which I think is a really interesting story.
I'm Ed Murray for the Oklahoma News Report.